welcome to another episode, and in some ways our first episode, of Making Waves, a podcast where I sit down and talk with today's firm leaders and MPB alumni about leadership in accounting firms. My name is David Toth with Winding River Consulting, and today I'm excited to be joined by Jessica Freiburg, managing partner of Sassetti at age 42, a $12 million firm located in Chicago, Illinois. Jessica, how's your summer going? I know you have 4 little ones with a packed schedule.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, David. Thanks for having me. Summer's going well. We were lucky enough to take a nice vacation to Greece earlier this summer.
Nice.
Yeah, so really enjoyable experience. My first time going there. And, now it's just kind of back to the grind. They're doing some camps and keeping themselves busy. So it's been good so far.
It's crazy with these kids as they get older. Summer flies by. But I'm looking forward to diving in today about your journey to managing partner, one that entailed some time as a co-managing partner, hearing a little bit about the growth plans for Sassetti, some of your priorities, and how you are one of the unique firms that are majority owned by women. And excited to talk about that. But before we get started, I remember coming to your office. I think it was pre-pandemic or right around then. It was your old office. I know you have a gorgeous new build that you guys have, I think, in the Rosemont, Chicago area. But I'll never forget the first time coming to your office and the first words that came out of Gary's mouth. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, definitely. I know he was not that impressed with the office space.
I think he said it was one of the worst accounting offices he's ever been to. But
well, luckily, when he saw the new space,
Yes.
he said we went from worst to first. So
Yes.
that made me feel pretty good. So
That's
that was
exactly
definitely, definitely an upgrade here. We're actually in Oak Brook, in really nice new space we moved into at the end of 2021. So a few years now, but like you said, a little before the pandemic, we had been in the same office for over 60 years, and it looked like it.
60 years. That's exactly right. Well, listen, I love to hear a little bit about your path to managing partner. I know you were managing partners with Jim for a while. A little bit about your background and history and how you decided that managing partner was the right fit for you.
Yeah, thanks. So I joined Sassetti right after college in 2004. And, at the time we were a little under 20 people. And, so it was a firm where everybody kind of did everything. So I got experience doing audit, tax, and accounting services. And then we started to grow a little bit more and, differentiate between departments as most firms are now. So I think that, it just gave me an opportunity to really have a good foundation and then to continue to grow. As you mentioned, Jim was the managing partner prior to me, and he was really kind of my mentor to help, bring me up at the firm. But it's funny, I talked to one of my partners recently and had a conversation saying that, kind of like once I knew that I was going to stay in public accounting, a few years in maybe, for me, it really was kind of like managing partner or bust. Like I knew that's where I wanted to be. The managing partner when I joined Sassetti, his name was Dan, and he had been managing partner for like 30 years and had a similar story where he started as Sassetti right out of college and worked his way up to managing partner and then was there for quite a long time. So I kind of saw that there was a pathway for that, and I, thought it was an exciting opportunity. I know other people come in and just kind of work their way up and, and say, maybe one day I'll be partner. But for me, it was definitely, I knew that was kind of the end goal for me or what I hoped to accomplish. So.
And you became full-time managing partner independent about 2 years ago?
Yeah, at the beginning of 2022.
Right during the pandemic. Right after the pandemic,
Yeah. So, Jim. So the way that we planned Jim's transition out of managing partner was that he did 1 year. It's supposed to be a 3-year term, and so in his last term, he did 1 year on his own. We did 1 year as co-managing partners, and then I took over in 2022. What's interesting about that is, as you said, I kind of became co-managing partner at the beginning of 21. And at that time, like I was still pretty much working fully remotely. Like, we were still really in the heart of the pandemic. And so it was interesting juggling act. I think that a lot of it, we didn't really transition a lot of things probably till the end of that year. But it still gave us an opportunity to start, me to start better understanding what I was getting into, I guess, as far as the managing partner role and, making sure that I had everything else kind of in line to take that additional task on.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned that when you started at Sassetti, probably early 2000s, 20 people. Where are you guys at today?
So we're just over 50 people now.
A lot of growth.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So talking about growth, when I started reaching out to you and say, hey, would love to have you on the podcast, We talked a little bit about what growth means to Sassetti, and maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the exciting things you guys are focused on. And one of the questions or topics that is coming up across the industry right now is we have to grow. If we're not growing, we're dying. We have to grow, and growing in terms of top line. I mean, we're look at all the consolidation and private equity. We're looking at bigger firms. There's 17 firms today over $1 billion. And so, when I was talking to you about this, you guys have a really focused strategy right now in kind of two different areas. And I'd love to talk a little bit about that and get your guys' perspective on growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think as our firm has evolved, right, we're trying to kind of figure out exactly what space we want to be in and who we want to be. And as you grow and as you have partners transition out, we really want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to be as successful as we can. And so that really revolves around not just growth, but strategic growth, right? So we want to make sure that we're, really focusing in specific areas. So our two strategies that we're really working on right now, one is around, specific industry niche areas and saying, okay, what are we best at? We spent a lot of time over the last 2 years really digging in internally and understanding our people, what areas do they have experience in, and what do they want to work in, right? Like there's
Sure.
such a challenge for talent. Like we want to make sure that we're really meeting them where they are and understanding, okay, what are areas that are interesting to them or that they want to continue to work in, and where are our current clients and where do we think there's opportunities at in the market that we're in. So we really narrowed that down to three specific areas around non-for-profit, manufacturing, and technology. And so we've built out groups around those three areas, and we're really trying to, again, just grow, find opportunities in those spaces. And then we're not necessarily shedding everything outside of that, but we are being more strategic about accepting anything that's outside of that area.
Sure.
And we're looking at our current clientele to see what continues to be a fit and what doesn't. So I think, to your point, like maybe our top line revenue isn't going to grow as significantly over the next few years. But I think that our focus is really on that bottom line and saying, okay, how can we get more profitable clients? How can we make sure that we're being more efficient in our processes? And a lot of that comes down to streamlining the type of work that we're doing. And then the second area that we're really focusing on, again, similar to a lot of other firms, is building out those advisory services.
Yeah.
We think there's obviously a lot more profitability in certain services in that area. So we've added on HR services, we've added wealth management, we have digital advisory, and we've always had we've had CAS at least for 6 or 7 years, but really trying to focus more on that higher end CFO advisory type work in the CAS space. And then we've also have some support around marketing. So as you mentioned, what we've done is we've really built out like a kit that we call it for entrepreneurs or new business owners to say, hey, we can kind of come in and handle everything you need from a back office perspective to let you focus on building your business. And so we're really excited about that. We've had the opportunity to roll that out to a few clients now. And we see that as a real great opportunity. Again, just really helping them build their business and have that support system in the background and helping us build out those different advisory services in those different spaces.
That's super exciting. I think industries is definitely, speaking to a lot of people today when it comes to, growth and being able to niche. I know from my perspective, when I talk digital, niche is critical, right? There's just so much
Mm-hmm.
noise out there. And how do we show expertise and then align people and talent with what they enjoy the most? So excited to see how that continues to evolve. The advisory, services, the package kind of approach. I mean, that's changing the mindset of how we have typically had to think within a firm. How's that going? Are you guys running into challenges as part of that, process? I know you guys are doing it a couple at a time to experience it, but, thinking about it, you're a trusted advisor. We're seeing a lot of firms become more transactional the larger they get because they're task oriented. They got to get the job done with not enough people, but you're becoming this advisor. You have multiple services you can offer. How that relationship gets managed and controlled is also evolving at the same time. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how that's been working for you and the team.
I mean, I definitely think it's a challenge. To your point, you historically you've been telling people to focus specifically on providing this compliance service or really pushing out a tax return or getting this
Right.
thing done. And now what we're trying to do is train them to think differently, right? Train them to think about the bigger picture for that client and not just saying, okay, what can is their tax return ready, or what can we do, from an audit perspective, but really holistically, like, what does this client need? How can we service them? Are there things, even, right? Obviously, being part of the BDO Alliance, like, are there things that they need that we could service them through that, right? That maybe
Right.
we're not even providing ourselves, but we can get somebody else to provide, that's within that network. So, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, but a lot of it is training your people, right, to think differently. And so we've been doing a lot of training around it. We had an all firm meeting last week where we really talked about, having that mindset and kind of keywords, right? If clients say this, then maybe you should introduce them to somebody on the HR side. If they
Right.
say, if they're saying they're struggling with this, then maybe you need to introduce them to someone on the other side. So, it's really just kind of giving them those tips and helping them to refocus or reconsider how they're communicating with their clients, and asking those questions so that we can understand how we can best fit their needs.
Well, the other thing that's exciting about what you're talking about, and I see larger firms struggle with this also, is breaking down silos, right? It's my client, it's my book of business. I don't want anybody else touching it. I'm not going to bring other people into it. By taking this type of approach and being more relationship or client oriented, that changes the culture of the firm.
Yeah, and luckily we've done a pretty good job of that. We historically haven't measured things really based on book of business, and so there is a little bit more collaboration, I would say, especially even at the partner level, and at the manager level, to really work together and make sure that we're, if I'm not the best person suited to handle that client, I can hand it off to somebody else who would be better suited, and just making sure that, again, we're giving our clients the best service that they can have.
Yeah, exciting to see how that continues to evolve and grow. I got to know you guys about 5 years ago now, I want to say, when we did some strategic growth work with you. And one of the unique things that we learned about Sassetti is the ownership is very there's a lot of women involved in the ownership side, to the point where you guys will be majority owned by females. I'd love to hear a little bit about why that's important to you, why that's important to the firm, and kind of how that came to be.
Yeah. So I would say it was not planned, but
Right.
also not by accident, right? I think that it evolved this way because we have always maintained a good culture and a place that allows people to have that balance. I know we talk about that a lot in the industry, but I feel like it really is a testament to Sassetti that we've, ever since I've been a part of the firm, it's really been that way. And I saw even the male partners that were, there when I started, coaching softball teams and leaving early to go do this and that for their children. And, so I did think that there was a reflection of that. And I think as we've continued to grow, we've been able to maintain a level of, that family first attitude and making sure that people are able to kind of have it all. And I guess that's always been my dream, is to have it all, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned, 4 kids, married, managing partner. And I think that it's, once you build that up and people see you do that within the firm, it does attract and help retain other people and other women specifically, that see that that's an option. So yeah, we're majority women owned as of the beginning of 2024. And we have 2 other partners retiring in the next year. So we'll be almost solely women owned, actually, in the next few years. But obviously some of the, folks that we'll continue to promote into partner going forward will be men as well. We're not we're not exclusive to women,
Sure.
right? It's just that we, have seen an opportunity for women to be promoted in this space, and continue to make sure that there's opportunities for women to feel like they can have the profession and have the career at Sassetti, as well as have the family life.
Well, that's, I mean, I think a very compelling story, a differentiator when it comes to the type of firms you can look at joining, and, knowing that there's a lot of also, women owned businesses that look like, for partners
Yeah.
like yourselves. And I'm not sure if that's been part of the conversation or growth strategy, but there's no question about it. There's an ability to generate that relationship as such. So, um, real powerful
Yeah,
balance
yeah, that's
there.
definitely another area that we're focused on, as well as seeing, if there's opportunities for us to get engaged. I mean, we don't do governmental work, so I'm not sure it's going to help us from,
Right.
really from that perspective. I think it's more of a mentality and just
Oh,
people
yeah.
knowing that the type of firm that we are, that promotes, all types of individuals to be at the top.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I know managing partner boot camp, you're an alumni. Were you in the COVID cohort?
I was not. I came
Okay.
in right after that one. Yeah.
You
So
missed the
all of
18-month
our
program.
Yeah, exactly. All of ours were in person. But I think that group was, paired with us, but they were ending and we were
Right.
beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
got to experience all of their excitement at the same time. So
Yeah.
knowing when you took that, I think you were just becoming co-managing partner. That was probably 3-4 years ago now, and just how did that experience help you in the role that you're facing today? I don't know if there's anything you want to kind of talk about. I know Gary has so many different perspectives on the ability to execute. Commented on your office 3 years later, you got a brand new one. So love to hear a little bit about your kind of experience with MPB and how that's helped you as a managing partner.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in general, I'd say it was a great experience. I think the two things that come out of it, right, are you get to learn from some of the best. So obviously Gary, yourself, and other people that were the presenters and speakers, and really, sharing kind of the dirty laundry, right? Like the not easy stuff that you have to deal with as managing partner, things to, be prepared for. So I found that really, really helpful, and just kind of having a plan, making sure we're communicating, and just continuing to push, right? And that's where I think you have to continue to push, and push for change, and make sure that everybody on the team is kind of rowing in the same direction. And so I think that was really helpful. And then the peer group that you develop through that is great as well. I mean, there's several people that I went through managing partner boot camp with that I still stay connected with on a regular basis. I mean, obviously you have the alumni events, which is great, but I'll do virtual coffees with them. There's quite a few where I have no problem reaching out with questions, or hey, I'm seeing this, or we're having this issue. Are you having that issue as well? And just having someone to bounce questions off of, that is in the same position as you, is extremely beneficial. And I grew up as an athlete, so I look at everything as kind of a team sport. And I think that having a team around you, whether they're Sassetti specific or with other firms or through Winding River, anybody that you can get around you to help support you, and just surrounding yourself with really talented, smart people, is what's made me successful and will continue to help me down my path. Yeah, I mean, there's so much talk right now, right, about staying independent. And, I think it is challenging, and, just admitting where we're at, right? Like it's going to continue to, I think, get more challenging as there's so much consolidation and PE investment into the space. I'm hopeful. Again, we're on a really great path with the women-owned business. We have a lot of young, ambitious partners that are excited. That I do feel like we have a lot of momentum right now, and we are kind of on the same page. We're all moving in the same direction, and I think that's really exciting. So I do see us continuing to grow. Our goal is to stay independent and continue to see what we can do in our space, and just again continue to kind of push these different service lines, and really just continue doing what we've done for the last 100+ years, which is provide great quality service and provide a place where people enjoy working, right? And I think that's really the key. And so the goal is to stay independent and keep moving forward. And I guess we'll see we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. It sounds like the PE is going to continue, right? So it's not stopping. Yeah, it's not slowing down. So I do think that that's having a really big impact on the space. And there's obviously still a lot of consolidation. I hope that there's still a place for firms like us to stay independent and be really relevant. I actually think that it provides us almost more opportunity, as other firms get bigger and bigger, that we're allowed to continue to work with clients that maybe want to have that smaller firm connection, that we can bring on additional people that really want to have that family culture like atmosphere, and work for a firm that's really providing that one-on-one connection to our clients. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue in that space. But yeah, I think the future is continuing to grow. The firms will continue to grow. And I think we'll continue to have, changes in regulations and standards and things like that. So, I think there'll always obviously be a need for us, and it's just a matter of what that looks like and how it continues to shift, I guess, based on the landscape in the economic environment.